Happy What We Watch Sunday. Very excited about this Severance Season 2 finale chat featuring you. We're the only show that includes your voice guaranteed, of course, if you want to. Totally optional, you can be a listener, but this is what we watch. And so you make up the we in this. And I'm really excited that we get to talk Severance Season 2 finale because everyone has opinions, everyone has things to say. And I'm your host, Miss Peacherino, to kick us off and make sure that everyone has their voice heard. Once again, we are the only digital show out there that guarantees that your voice will be heard. This is what we watch. Happy Sunday. I hope everyone's been enjoying, the March Madness of it all, the everything that's been on TV. It's been very exciting. But Severance Season 2, who wants to chat? Come on up. You guys know how it goes. Request to come on up. Can everyone hear me? Is my mic on? Request to come on up and we can chat. So I'm going to get right into it. My lovely co-host, Tej, will join in just a bit. I mean, I want to say, number one, that I absolutely loved the episode. Okay? Absolutely adored it. Adored every single second, every single moment. And a lot of people warned me that I would be mad about the end. And I'm just not sure that I was. I mean, y'all have been here. We've been talking ever since the end of January when season 2, episode 1 premiered. And so, you guys know how I feel about Gemma and Mark. I feel like I've been pretty clear about that, at least towards these last few episodes, that, I'm ready for whatever they say happens. Everything is a romance, everything is a love story, as you know. Diner and the Dash, welcome to the stage. I'm assuming you've watched the finale. Please don't come up here talking about you haven't watched the finale. You better have watched the finale, Diner and the Dash.
Yes,
Okay,
I've watched it.
I want to talk first about the big gripes in the room. Honestly, this is what we watch. We've been doing this for 4.5 years and counting, and many more to come. And I've made a special segment for my gripe guys. I call them my gripe guys. And, if there's any gripes, and I just from like an immediate responsive perspective, people were like, oh, wait till the end. You're going to be pissed. And I was like, I saw the end and I was like, I'm not upset. Diner in the Dash, tell me how you felt about the ending. And then we'll talk more, we'll get deep into it.
I loved how they put together the episode. It was captivating and I enjoyed the entire episode. But at the same time, I wondered what we were searching for because we found out about the goats, which shout out Gwendolyn Christie, great performance. But if Mark is just going to be as divergent as he was in the first season between his innie and his outie, and his innie is going to prefer to be in love with Helly, like shout out, I love love, so I have no beef with that part of it, but if he's going to be as divergent as he is, then what were we searching for this entire season? But at the same, I have something to say about the very ending of the season, and I will save that for later. So, yes. Those are my thoughts, I guess. You're on mute. You're on mute. You need to.
Whoops, sorry.
unmute yourself.
Thank you. So that's actually is what we're talking about. We are talking about the very ending. But I like that you're holding on, Diner in the Dash. We'll come back to you. But Big Skells, talk to me specifically. We're talking about, I was warned many, many times that I would hate the ending. It would make me so mad And I was like, I just didn't feel that. How did you feel about the ending specifically? And, kind of speaking to what Darn in the Dash was like, what were you expecting? What were your questions? Did you also leave with anger, disappointment, or was there another thing? Go ahead. Big Skells. Okay, never mind. KP.
Yes. Thank you again. At first, I was disappointed in Mark S because I was like, I wanted Mark Scout to and Gemma to be back in love. But then someone informed me that Mark S technically did what he said he was going to do, which was free Gemma. He did that. He didn't say, I'm going to free her and free you. Nah, I'm going to do what you asked me to do. I'm going to get your wife up out the paint and let her, go live her life because that's, we both love you. You love her, but I love this other lady. So it's the dynamic of, like you always say, everything's a love story.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked the ending, even though I hated it at the beginning, because it just gives you more to think about, especially since the Ennies are so isolated, they're so sanitized that they've
Mm-hmm.
never experienced anything. And now this is their first experience at anything.
Right, 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 right. Okay. I mean, I don't know that my Indies haven't experienced anything. They definitely experienced quite a bit. Um,
Or any trauma. I would say they don't know how, they've never experienced trauma. So this is their first trauma of their whole existence.
um, weren't the Innies in the first season experiencing trauma in a way?
No, because when Mark, the first scene of Mark was him crying in the car, and then the next scene was him in the basement typing on the typewriter.
Big scales, specifically the end. Were you warned that it was going to be angering? Specifically the end of the finale. Then we'll talk about everything else. Were you like properly warned, accurately warned? Did you feel angry? Because again, I just go ahead.
No, I wasn't warned. I didn't. No one told me anything about what the finale was going to entail. But I loved it. I thought it was awesome. I thought it leaves more questions to be answered. I see that you got your blood. You got your kill that you was looking for.
And did thank you so much.
I know you was
We are
looking for
clipping
someone.
that for the show.
I know
Thank
you
you
was
so
looking for
much.
someone to catch an L, and someone caught an
Period.
L. So
And
that's
didn't we say Miss Drummond? I gave him about 3 to 5 people, did I not? And Mr.
you
Drummond
were
was
like, I need
one.
some blood. I didn't think it was going to be him, but no, there's a lot of questions to be. I think they answered a lot of questions, but the core question that like I think we all still have is like, yo, what are they trying to really do here? And I think that's still
That's
out
still
there.
open.
Even though like Cobell was trying to explain like the numbers or the temperaments, like we're not really grasping that. What is really going on here? And that's what I think is
Yeah.
the real question of the show. But I loved
Okay.
it. I thought the
You love the
pacing was
ending.
great.
Okay.
Cinematography was great. It was good.
Teach, we're gonna piecemeal this because there's a lot. I feel like we'll be in here for an hour, hour and a half, and I'm excited about it, every second of it, honestly. So let me get a quick poll again, and let me continue with the group. But so we loved the ending, meaning we were not angry, we were not confused. Give me a heart if you loved, and give me anything else if you were like, nah, 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 hold on, what's going on? Okay, so we got mostly a love. Okay. David, I didn't see you respond at all. How did you feel about the ending specifically? Were you warned about the anger? Did you feel the anger? Did you feel the confusion, distraught? How did you feel?
I didn't care what. I don't know that I really saw that many like, oh, watch the endings because the moment it was coming up, I'll shut off and just like stayed offline except for to post my own shit and immediately get off. But the point was that once I did see it, the reason why I didn't because it's a kind of convoluted feeling. There is your responsibility to TV and understanding whether a TV or a film. What is the responsibilities of a writer, of a producer, of a creator, so on and so forth? And then what is your emotional response? If you ask me, oh, hey, how did you feel about it on the overall sense of from the responsibilities of a writer, producer, so on and so forth, all those people involved, the creators, amazing. Absolutely fulfilled everything that I want TV and film to be, and both of them. If you're asking me from an emotional response, did I get angry? Yes, the fuck I did. It will be ridiculous to me to say I didn't, and I don't like when we don't make a separation between those things because movies and TV are supposed to make us mad. They're supposed to make us feel something. If we're not, then I don't know that they're really doing their job. And so to me, when you watch Sabrina or The Notebook or any of those movies, it's supposed to be that people are kind of supposed to get split exactly as we saw and go, no, I wanted this person. If they didn't do that, if everyone, oh yes, I made this totally scientific position, then you weren't, obviously they didn't do their job well enough to touch your emotions, which is what you're supposed to get into. For me, from the moment they did episode 7, which was Gemma's episode,
Mhm.
already I was kind of just into her because I'm sorry, just on flat out right A aesthetics, Gemma is finer than fucking what's her name. Period. That's just that. But okay, so the fuck what? What's the person like? Now you showed me the fucking person, and she is 10 times to me better than what's her name. They just had a chemistry. They had years together, whether or not even that what's her name might Helly might arrive to that from that moment that you saw the episode, I was just like, yeah, I'm 100% on Gemma and Mark to come together and relive their thing. But as a writer, your responsibility is to show that, hey, wait a minute, this is a whole nother person with a whole nother life that has lived a whole nother experience.
Mhm.
And it is their right, as I pointed out with the Minority Report
Comparison, yeah.
connection exactly to say that at any point in time anybody all of us that is life in and of itself that the very directive of life is to fight for your own survival and
Agreed.
Mark S it is his responsibility to fight for his survival. Forget
Period.
about this. Even if Helly's not is not even in a picture, he's not going to want to die so he can serve for Mark's purpose on the outside.
Right.
That's the battle there. But at the same time, for me as a person, yes, to me, all things go to what is the most biggest thing. And on the outside, all of those things that's going on, they're happening really truthfully, more so on the outside than on inside. The inside is a fabrication, it's a creation, it's understanding, and it's real to those people who live inside of it. But it's real in the same sense that it was real to Neo, everything that was happening to him. But he also understood something's not right with me in the matrix. Something is not really fulfilling me in the way that I need to, even though I know. You
Right.
can't be that guy that eats that steak and says, I don't give a fuck that it's a steak. I don't give a fuck. It tastes good to me. And I want to go back
Right.
inside because
Right.
this cold ass oatmeal is nasty. But that is the reality, cold oatmeal or not. And that's my whole thing. But outside of
Right.
that, yes, writer's job, amazing.
Yeah. I think, we had a great Matrix chat. I mean, I think that was the longest ever What We Watched chat. Hi guys, welcome. It's What We Watched Sunday. We are talking Severance 2 season finale, specifically how you felt about the end. David, I don't know if you remember that Matrix room. Wow, that created a lot of connections in that. Where it was like a 4.5 hour room when we watched the Matrix Reloaded and just kind of went through all of the franchise films. But anyways,
Wait, number 2 or 4?
we talked about all of them in that chat. Man, this was like 2-3 years ago when Matrix Reloaded came out.
Yeah.
Emotional support Kappa, specifically the end, because then we're gonna go, and I'll let my lovely co-host transition us into that because I know he enjoyed that. How did you feel about the ending specifically? Just the feeling.
Yeah, I think similar to what the last guy just mentioned
David.
around you didn't get the ending you wanted or you personally would have wanted, but you still felt a way about it. Uh, I think similar to like Stephen A. Smith, where like a lot of people don't agree with him, but a lot of people feel strongly about him. I think that's how I felt about the ending. I'm like, Mark, Mark S. You are not a real. You're a person, but you're not really a person. And this relationship you got with this terrible woman whose any is cool or whatever, like it makes sense.
Any is cool or whatever is big
Yeah,
bars. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Look,
because I'm a Helly R stan, and I want to be very clear about that. And the R stands for rebel and revolutionary. Okay, but
you
you're
know,
not wrong at all. Go ahead, keep spitting.
she like not to take it there, but she was competing with her outie when she, when she found out Mark got a taste and took him into that room. And so I understand why he's obsessed with her. Um, eh, but at the end of the day, she's not the right choice.
Oh, okay, so you're not Team Helly for Mark S specifically.
Correct.
So you're okay. So you know that if you're not Team Helly for Mark S, then you might have effectively voted for his death. Do you
Oh,
understand?
oh, absolutely.
Okay, cool. Yeah, okay. So you're like, yeah, I'm standing on business. I feel that. I like that. This is what we watch. We just had another parallel. I want to like ding ding when I get parallels. So we've got Minority Report, Matrix type stuff, and then we've got Stephen A. Smith. I'm into it. Let's keep it going. TJ, I want to welcome you to the stage. Let's talk a little bit more about this finale. All right. I want to be very clear. What I've shared thus far is that I was, warned about the episode. Let me be very clear. I was warned about the episode while I was watching the episode, and I opted to tweet about the episode as it was happening. So I was about 15 minutes into the episode, and I was like, "Oh shit, what's going on?" And when I tell you, so many people text me and so many people tweet me like, "Oh, just wait till the ending. You're gonna be mad. It's gonna be crazy." Da, da, da. And I'm like, I don't love this because I don't love spoilers, but it honestly didn't do anything for me. It actually made me I would love if it never happened, if nobody ever shared even how they felt. But that's kind of why we're here at What We Watch. And I'm glad people told me how they felt because I wanted to pinpoint when I would be angry and I never felt it. And so I felt complete adoration, complete awe. I was in shock the entire time. But I will say that, like, Tej, I'm gonna call you out. Tej wanted me to watch it on Friday, and I was like, "Are you insane? Are you absolutely insane? Why would I wait till Friday to watch this episode? That's insane. Everyone's going to like, in some way or another, remotely like talk about this. I'm gonna have to stay disconnected from the entire world. My world is What We Watch." And so we ended up watching it on Thursday. And I tell you what, guys, I had a great time. But T, talk to me specifically about how you felt at the finale versus what you saw and kind of like what you thought about that. And then we'll get
So
into it.
I didn't see any backlash. You told me there was backlash. I had already muted everything. I don't play about that. I had already told everybody not to text me, so I didn't see any backlash. But I loved it. I don't know why people are mad. I truly don't understand what people would be angry about. I loved it. I thought it was perfect. I thought it was well done. I thought it was another example of them taking their finales very seriously and kind of nailing them. I don't no, I guess people are upset because they wanted to see the end of Lumen, which would be the end of the show. I didn't want the show to end, so like I didn't
I
want
think you're
them to
being
take, and I never thought they would take that option. I never let myself for a second believe that he was gonna get his wife and walk out that door, and Lumen was gonna come crashing down. I know like we already got a season 3 greenlit, so I know that's not where we were
okay.
going,
Hold
and
on.
also.
Can I ask you a question? I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like you're being disingenuous in the wording, not in the feeling and the attack. I feel like you do know why people are angry. You just fully disagree. I don't think people are angry. I think that people thought that Mark would go out with Gemma. Not that Lumen would crash, but that Lumen would because Lumen isn't gonna just immediately crash. Lumen could, it's Lumen. Like they could recover from literally fucking anything. That was the beginning of this season. So I feel like people just wanted the people that were angry wanted Mark to choose Gemma. The
I
universe.
don't think anyone in any Mark's position would have done what they wanted any Mark to do.
Okay.
Any Mark had no reason to trust Outie Mark, which I
Agreed.
thought was perfectly illustrated by the conversation they had with the camcorders. He don't trust this guy. So what am I going to do? Instead of trusting you, I'm going to save your wife and I'm going to save the love of my life at the same time. I'm going to save them both. But I don't trust you enough to think that we are going to be reintegrated and I'm going to continue to exist. And outside of the fact that I know that even if reintegration goes perfectly and you get to live happily ever after with your wife and me in the body, Helly is gone. Like there is no more Helly. Like if your plan goes the way you want it to go, there's no such thing as Helly anymore. There's only Helena, and Lord knows that she's evil and not the person that I'm in love with. So I didn't think it made much sense, and I think it's unfair to ask of any Mark with no real conversation with Outie Mark other than the one that we saw, to just take his word for it and take Miss Kobelvik's word for it when he don't trust her neither. I just didn't think that made any sense, that you're going to sacrifice the love of your life for two people that you quite literally don't trust. That makes no sense to me. So that's why I don't understand when people would be upset, because I was not surprised by the decision that he made. I kind of figured he would make that decision once it came down to it, and so I was pretty fulfilled by the finale overall.
Me too, me too. Yeah, the What We Watchers, as you can see, everybody put up hearts. We seem to deeply enjoy it from a storytelling perspective, from a fan of Severance perspective, which I think is what's most important. But I think, the people that aren't in What We Watch and aren't tapped in with the community deeply and, have these amazing, intense, understanding around the discussion of the show, yeah, I think they were upset. And I'm like, well, what TV show are you watching? Quite frankly, it's like, I agree with you, T. It's like, what TV show are you watching if you thought that any Mark was going to have the wherewithal to leave with Gemma? Why would he do that? Like, literally, why would he do that? And so I think the anger is beautiful, because that means that there's a large swath of people that were committed to Outie Mark and Gemma being back together. And I think that's fucking incredible. I think it's incredible. It's also, I also still have to ask the question, what show are you watching? What show are you watching? I think it's incredible that these writers and showrunners and the cinematography and the creation around this had you so invested in the success of Gemma that you forgot what show you were watching. Because what are you talking about, right? Mike, welcome to the stage. Talk to me
How are you
specifically
guys
about the
doing?
finale. We're great. Go
I'm
ahead.
just going to put it. I'm just going to put it simply. This is one of the best shows in television history, and I've been watching shows since the '60s. I
Period.
go back to the '60s, and I'm going to tell you right now, this show, from the writing to the acting to the cinematography to the drama to the comedy, it's unbelievable. This finale is as good as any any season finale I've seen. I mean, this was
Including the
captivating.
season 1 finale, right?
Yeah, I mean, this was absolutely spellbinding. And the way it ended, let's just go to the end, where he's there, she's on the door, and she's on the other side, and they're playing the window, that great song from the Thomas Crown Affair, which you guys are too young probably even know about, but you guys are film buffs, I hope.
We know
That
it.
is the best song. That is a beautiful song as they're doing the slow mo run. I mean, I'm just looking at this aesthetically. It's just beautiful. It's just an
Yes.
incredible. And can we talk? And I've been here. I know you guys talked about the show before, but Totoro and Walken, incredible. Everybody in the show, the acting is just absolutely phenomenal. What's going on in this show? It makes you think. I haven't seen this much talk since Two Shot JR in the '80s on Dallas. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. I mean, there's so much talked about on this show.
Right.
It's fascinating,
It is.
hands down.
And guys, I want to just be clear, right? Mike being a wonderful white man from the 60s. This is Ben Stiller's show.
What's that? What'd you say?
This is Ben Stiller's show.
Ben
My
Stiller's fantastic.
relationship with Ben
Absolutely.
Stiller is amazing, right? My relationship being like, through his art. I'm
Yeah.
obsessed with Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller has never put out a project that I didn't enjoy. And I don't know, I'm like starting to think about it. And if
Yeah.
not for nostalgia, this is the best thing that Ben Stiller has ever done. Am I like speaking out of turn here?
You know what's the crazy about Ben? You know, he grew up.
Where did he grow up? Oh. Can everyone hear me?
He
Yeah, I
got
can hear you,
muted.
but I
Oh,
think
I'm
we
sorry.
lost
I'm
him.
sorry. Real quick. Just real quick about Ben. You know, grown up, the son of Stiller and Mara, fantastic comedy team. His parents on Ed Sullivan show, television back then. Everybody knew Stiller and Mara. And then to have the son kind of come out and do what he did on his show originally, right? And you thought, it's funny, right? And precious. But the way he's branched out, he's
Man,
such a creative force. And I
man.
know this is not just his show, but he's got a lot of input
Shout
into
out
the
to
show.
Dan, the writer. Ugh,
Yeah, it's
great.
amazing. And those little after things they do are fantastic, by the way. That's always great. I love that after the
Yeah.
episode. But
Um,
it's just a great show. I mean, you could break it down all you want. Should you gone with her? Should you gone? I just think does it, and someone else brought it up. Does it hit you emotionally? Does it hit you? That's a great show. If it hits you and you're thinking about it, if you're thinking about it after the show runs, like that night and the next day, and you're talking to your friends, I'm talking to my daughter, and this, that's a mark of a great show. Simple as that. Because some
and
shows
that's
you don't
it.
care.
And that's exactly why what we watch, I created what we watch. It's
Right.
exactly why I did this 4.5 years ago. Because I feel like, you know, a lot of the way that we experience television is just what we feel and what is reflected in our lives, right? And a lot of times I can insert the conversation, the dialogue around the art and the business of it, but still keep the foundation that a good show, a good movie, a great show, and a great movie, the difference is how you feel. It's how you feel
Yep.
after, it's how you talk about it today, it's how you talk about it in 2 years, it's how you talk about it in 20 years. And we are the only show that really captures how it made us feel and how we experience it and how we experience it together and what we learn about how it made us feel. So I'm really glad about this because I mean, I think it's a perfect show to kind of highlight what we watch too, because we're talking about experience and memories and feelings. Like, this is driven by the fact that we knew from season one that Mark Scout was depressed about his wife dying in a car crash. That is fucking devastating. Okay? And then to find out that you might have been manipulated into believing that devastation, fucking devastating. So now I'm like devastated on top of devastation, and I am working to like get back to that. But I brought up Ben Stiller specifically for comedy. And there are two really great scenes to me where I was smiling and screaming the entire time. The obvious one, Tej, is the choreography and merriment. And the second one was the camcorder situation between Mark S. and Mark Scout. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was overwhelming. I was yelling at the screen. I was like, oh, I can't wait. Oh my God, what is he gonna say? This man is writing letters to himself, and I want y'all to read my thread that I shared up top. A lot of spit. If you could look at the last tweet that I shared up top in the space to kind of really understand and put yourself in any Mark's shoes. Like, this is what happens. I want your any Mark today. That tweet explains to you, and I want you to think about what decision you would have made. Teach, talk to us a little bit about the camcorder scene or the choreography and merriment scene. I want you to call next. What's the next shot?
I'm
We're
gonna
going
go to
shot for shot, scene for scene.
so the core the marching band scene. I just one the way that he leaves his meeting with Dylan, like he gives him his little outie resignation form, and then he like takes off running, and then now we know that he took off running so that he could make it to go do a comedy routine. Like I like the whole even before the marching band gets there, like the whole he's on stage with Kier thing. Kier's making jokes that were probably pre-written, but Milchick's still offended by the jokes, and all of a sudden he offends Kier with the joke. Like that's all amazing, and that's kind of a our only real sprinkle of that like Tremel Tillman comedy on this season because we haven't gotten a lot of it because it's been such a serious role and he's been in so much strife. So to be able to have Tremel Tillman just have 20 minutes to just like literally just make jokes, have fun, start dancing with a marching band, like it made me smile because I was saying last week in the room, part of what I've really missed of this season is kind of that interiority of the innies being at work and a regular day where Milchick gets to do something zany or funny, he gets to do dances. Like that's a part of the show I like too, not just the part where they're trying to take down Lumen or they're trying to find Miss Casey slash Gemma, but also the part where the innies are at work and weird shit's happening. That's completely hilarious. So I love that they gave that to us. With regards to the camcorder scene, I just thought it was so perfectly done. The way they start to shoot it, and then the way they start to incorporate. Okay, you understand the conceit of it, so now we can just switch back and forth between the two videos. So when Audi Mark says, "Can you just trust me?" and then any Mark says no, you don't see any Mark go back into the cabin. You literally just see the two takes back to back, and the way they edited it, I thought it was just perfect. The way they made Mark look different, the way they lighted him different. Like I just thought everything about the way they shot that was perfect. And it's a scene that we have been waiting for 20 hours now at this point of television. It'll just have these two people need to have a conversation. The starts off friendly and light, but it becomes pretty clear that Audi Mark is trying to sell Any Mark something, but he has no credibility with Any Mark yet. He's done nothing to and not just that, he calls the love of his life Helena, which I thought was really funny. But
I'm telling you that.
you
I'm
can't
telling
even
you.
get her name right.
The
Like I'm
camcorder
not
scene
like
was funny. It was funny.
It was very funny. You can't even get her name right. Like, I'm not trusting you if you're like, it's okay with like all that little love thing you and Helena got going on like dinner. Like, I don't know Gemma. Me and Gemma is not the woman I love. I understand that you want your wife back, but you can't get me to throw away the lives of me and the woman that I love, whose name you don't know, just because you look like me. Like, that doesn't make sense. He
Yo,
was never going to get that off.
when this, I mean, the second we got into it, because I was excited, guys. I've been immersed in film and television. It's been my entire life for 4 years and counting. I'm 4.5 years, and so like I can almost predict. Like, I am a writer. I can practically predict everything that's about to happen. But man, I had a good fucking time with this camcorder scene because I did not predict that we were going to get this kind of back and forth. That was brilliant. That was beautiful. But once the conversation started, I said immediately, I was like, Mark Scout don't know Mark S's love of his life. And this is not going to go well. I literally said, I was like, he don't know her like that. And Mark S's entire life is some version of Helly R, right? Because he dumb as hell. I done told y'all Mark S is dumb. I done told y'all I don't like that Mark. I don't like Mark Grayson. I don't like Mark S, okay? But anyways, shout out to the Lover Boys. But my thing about it was, I was like, he's going to get her name wrong. And this is not going to go well. Like, you asking me for a favor and you can't get my woman's name right? There's just no way. I think her name is Helena. Excuse me? You want me to die for you and you can't even get it? Are you out of your mind? I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh, nah, this man's not doing nothing for him. And he still did. He technically did his duty. He's like, here you go. Here's Gemma. Here you go. I would have been like, here go Hannah. Here goes Shelby. Cause did you just call my girl Helene? Her name is Helly. Her name is Helly. And I already knew that wasn't gonna go well. I was cracking up. I said, I already knew it. Mark S don't play none of that. And the entire time, and I don't know, y'all tell me how you feel. David, I see your hand up. I want to let your boy Chris speak too. I see you've joined first, and then everybody with their hand up. David next. But the entire camcorder scene, Helly and Helena was in my mind. And this show is so brilliant that they juxtapose Helly with Helena, and I could not get her out of my mind because watching Mark S and Mark be able to talk like this immediately and like record themselves, and we get the camcorder very like old 80s 70s kind of vibe, which is the entire thing. I was like, oh, if we understand who Mark Scout is, drab, annoying, yawn, right? But there's this layer of Mark that does his job and is very good at what he does and understands his goals and, is very like steadfast. We've watched Outie Mark be steadfast, even though dumb as fuck, steadfast in these kind of decisions that he makes with Ragabi or around Devin or around Rickon. And I'm like, that's in Mark's innie as well. Mark's innie is not doing nothing he don't want to do because Mark's Outie don't do nothing he don't want to do. And just the same way, Helena, she is top dog and she this and that. Ain't nobody gonna step to her. Well, what do you think Helly's gonna be? And you need Helly to be, to acquiesce and to be subservient. But that's not Helena. She wasn't even raised like that. So I was like, this makes sense. It makes too much sense. Which, to TJ's earlier point, I'm like, this is the only decision that makes sense for Mark S. But go ahead, your boy Chris. Talk to me a little bit about how you felt about the camcorder scene, I guess. 'Cause that was, I was obsessed with that episode. I was obsessed with that part of the show.
Yeah, I think what this show continuously just does so well over and over again is just the foil characters are just so built in. Is that every single innie and outie is a alternative version of themselves, and they always play against each other in such interesting ways. And I think you kind of take for granted, I think, as a viewer that we understand conceptually that these are two different people, but also experiencing the story, we tend to conflate their goals together just because they have a similar face and a similar body. And I think going to that ending finale from that conversation, it's the first time the show asks you to think and say, how do you really feel about these two people? And do you see them as two separate things or not? And I think personally
Yes,
for me, I was looking at it in a certain way where, obviously we all want to get Gemini out. Obviously, we
for
are on
sure.
the same page, but then to have that conversation happen and go through the way it was, it really brought in as an audience questions that I feel like I should have asked myself, but just because of the way the writing worked and how much they lead you, that you didn't think to really look into until you were there. So many questions. I think that's really what works about it, is that there's so many questions. I think I was a little frustrated at times in the finale that, there's all these like world bending questions that we still have. We don't really know what Cold Harbor is. We don't really, even with all the information they give us, there is not a clear roadmap to what their goal is or what they're necessarily going into. But it becomes really secondary because the writing of the show is so great and wonderful
Yes.
that you just fall in love with the characters. And from that antagonistic relationship between Mark and Helly, they still have the counterbalance to that, which is you look at Dylan,
Yeah.
and someone who has, I would arguably say, the most friction with his outie at the end of the season comes through, and he has more of an understanding, I think, than maybe any of the characters. So just excellent writing, and what a great run, what a great season, what a
Yeah.
great ride. Um, and I think again, Audi Mark just really needs to. I think it was really surprising for me to see all like Devin and Mark. I thought in my head they would be more sympathetic, but there was really just no thought in their heads to saying, "Oh, I think we're really going to kill everybody if Lumen goes down." And I think especially the audience wants Lumen to go down, but now the question is that there is no world, in a kind of a metatextual way, like Miss Cobell says to Mark, there is no fairy tale ending. And so what it asks for us as the audience to say, if Lumen goes down, all our favorite characters are gone. So there has to be an
Okay.
alternative. We need to
Yep.
think outside of the the regular way a show will go, where we're going to end and
But
hopefully both
yeah.
go on
But luckily,
and
this is
say,
TV.
yeah,
So hopefully, yeah, and that's what's so fucking cool about the show. David, talk to me a little bit, because I'm gonna get into what your boy Chris is saying, because he's basically on T's side, like, we love the innies, hashtag innies, stay with the innies. And I do too, honestly. The outies are terrible, and I know they did that on purpose. Like, I don't give a fuck about none of these outies from a perspective of like being close to them or feeling like they should reach their goals. Fuck them outies. The only outie I cared about was Mark getting his girl back, but I don't even care about that no more. Yuck. David, talk to me. And before you speak, David, let me be very clear about something. We're gonna have to stand Britt Lower and Patricia Arquette a little bit more. I'm gonna need a little bit more noise for the girls during Women's History Month. I'm gonna be a little bit. I need some applause. I need some claps. Patricia Arquette, Britt Lower, the girls that you are, the girls that you are. It's crazy. Like, I know Patricia Arquette is, if in any case, if she's ever funny, because she had a couple lines, deadpan, or she is very like dark and she's very monotone, and every shot of her is just looking at the camera, like, and she's moving her mouth like this, and she's very, and I'm like, that takes skill too, though, because she can't move her body. She needs to be like, she needs to stand on business, be immovable, and still, like, such a force. So go ahead, David. Thank you for waiting.
No, yes, this would be easy because to me it covers all of the things. Even going back to what T said about like why he didn't understand. To me, I would go back and say, well, let's go back to Game of Thrones, The Reigns of Castamere. Do we not understand why people were mad that that happened, even though TV show wise, you probably should have known if you really, now, mind you, it was one of the first TV shows to start going against the directive. The only reason we even think this would happen is because shows like Game of Thrones went against what TV had done before and said, I don't give a fuck where your allegiances lie. I'm going to, no, seriously. They say, like, no, I don't give a fuck. We're going to murder these people. And so, did you want what's her name to get plugged in her belly? Did you want Caitlyn? Maybe her. But the point is, other people that were so innocent and robbed that you were rooting for and climbing for, and say, yeah, I loved it. I loved it. No, you. I think what you love is the TV part of it, which is what I'm talking about. Is the part that, man, you were so fucking like whatever the word, honest, integrity, whatever those things are. You were so committed to that you said, let's look at what would realistically happen in the worlds that we have created. And that's where
Yeah.
Tish and you and everyone else talking is right. In the worlds we have created, in the world we know of right now, we're watching this happen. When people have set a standard for how things are supposed to go, it doesn't matter how much we know what is right and what should be done.
Right.
And then add that to the fact that what
But
I
then
just said
decide.
is that, yes, and also connect that to the fact that ultimately what I was saying is that I think it is actually folly to think there was anything Mark Scout was going to say to Mark S that was going to go, oh, you know what? You're
Yeah,
right.
right?
I should actually kill myself. I should die. Like, no, there was nothing that motherfucker was going to say to him. So I don't believe in what he said. Oh, yeah, he was doing. I think he did that because he needed to respond to him in a way that said, I want to live. And he wasn't really ready to say that, you know what? Fuck your wife, fuck your life. At the end of the day, I want to live. And if it comes down to making that decision, he didn't have to make this. He found a way that could. But if it came down to that,
Yep.
I will erase you, your wife, your baby newborn, your motherfucking track sneakers. I don't give a fuck. Everyone else will die if I need to live so I can love
Period.
Helly. That's the reality. So again,
Period. Come on,
that's great
romance.
television. That's what the power is again, we have to make the choices. But saying that I don't understand why people would be mad is like saying, oh, I don't understand why everybody didn't want Ned Stark to die. Or what's the point of why that's powerful is because Ned Stark, to most of us, if you can say about how we did feel he was realistic, true. You can talk about if he wasn't doing the right things in a world that is as evil as it was. But the point is that nonetheless, you're lying if you say you didn't like Ned Stark, because otherwise his death has no fucking power. If he's just some bum that nobody cares about and nobody likes, it's just like, so what? That death doesn't mean anything. And so does
And
anyone
look,
of Rob or anyone else.
and when I criticize shows, I be telling you, I be like, kill him. I don't give a fuck about him. Let him die. The Penguin did a great job of like killing some people that other people may have been invested in. I was like, whatever. And then sometimes I was like, oh my god, I can't believe you just. Oh my god, okay, I can't believe you just killed him. Oh my god, why did you do that? And
Yes.
I think it's beautiful. Let me let Jess speak. We got a couple hands up. Thank you so much. I fully agree, Jess.
Yes, Mo, let's get into it. This finale
We're
was
into it,
this
girl.
finale was wild. I first and foremost want to say, if you guys were in the last room when we were talking Severance, Dylan proved my point about his throuple situation. And I'm riding with his wife. I'm riding with women's rights and wrongs. Anyways, and we move. Um, this finale was amazing. This finale was absolutely amazing. And if you are mad at how it ended, did you want a third season or not? Right? Like, there's no way we're getting more Severance if Mark opens that door and leaves with Gemma, right? None of that makes.
I disagree with you and Teej when y'all say that, but I understand what you're
Because where
saying.
else are we going, right? So okay, so then what? Like, their happily ever after gets disrupted by what, some backlash for how they destroyed Lumen? Like, you can, like.
Here's the dialogue that I hang on to say that no, Lumen wouldn't be dead. Now, we'd still probably get some sort of a repeat of the first few episodes of season 2, but I hang on to this dialogue when I hear it wouldn't have ended. These showrunners and writers could have kept it going if Mark ran out across with Gemma. Do you remember what Milchick said to Mr. Drummond when he said, I don't give a fuck what y'all talking about to me right now, as far as Mark S needing to finish Cold Harbor. Don't fucking talk to me about what Mark does outside of work. That's your job,
Right.
not mine. I run the severed floor. So in that, Lumen has the power outside. We actually got to this point because Lumen, created and forged this traumatic experience for Gemma and Mark. That's what Lumen does. So no, we don't. The show doesn't end if Mark and Gemma get away. It doesn't.
Well, I
These
mean,
things could go fucking
so the
terribly.
only the only piece of dialogue that I would hang on to counter your point is the fact that
Hmm.
this whole thing kind of centers around Gemma's freedom and her returning to herself as a kidnapped victim of this company could actually
Right,
crumble the whole thing, right? The PR nightmare could be a bit much, but you're not wrong.
right.
But in terms of the finale,
But we also already saw that with Ragabi, Patricia Arquette's character, Miss Cabell. We saw Petey get clapped. So Gemma being released now, what is it really? I
but Miss
mean, keep
Cobell
going,
never
keep going. Though. I'm
actually.
just we're
Yeah,
potting
she
here.
was never about the smoke though. Like, Cobell never like turned on the microphone, said, "Excuse me, is this mic on?
Oh yeah,
I
no, she
created I
didn't.
created Severance. These people are monsters. Like, down with here. Like, this is the truth." She never wanted the smoke, so I disagree. But we're potting. We're potting. Um, My God, this finale was wild. And so if we're going
Right.
back to that camcorder scene, that Mark and Mark scene, oh my goodness. Shout out to Adam Scott. That was wild. But I just want to say, I have a question for the room. I want to understand why there was no planning from Harmony, from Devin, or from Mark when they're literally in the forest for X amount of hours waiting for the sun to go down. Where was the script? Where was the creativity? If you need to lie to Mark S, spin up a lie, do something, figure it out. Mark S was the one that made Mark Scout have to question, what actually did I do to myself? What is reintegration? How much is the percentage of who still survives where, right? He made a mistake from the beginning when he apologized for the seventh floor being hell, proving that he had no context for the fact that not really. They were out there in the Orpo. Mark was getting some
Yep.
from all the Hellys, all the Helenas, everybody. Okay, he dipped twice,
The
multiple
Helenies,
places.
everything.
It's
Yep.
clearly not hell, right? Then when he got her name
Mark get
wrong,
too much pussy for me. Mark S gets too much pussy for me. I'm not into
and
it.
the fact that Mark Scout had
I don't
no
like it.
idea about what was really happening. He never asked any question. No, like listen, I'll give grace for this beautifully written character who confesses to self-medicating the moment that he thought he lost his Gemma, right? So he's not all there. I understand. He was drinking himself away. He lost his job as a
Yes.
professor. Like he's not tip top shape. I
Right.
understand that. But y'all were in the forest waiting for the sun to go down and didn't
You get
plan.
what I'm saying?
Okay, you turned on the camcorder and immediately put yourself on the wrong foot. I got nervous the minute the camcorders went on and off. Okay, because I knew this was gonna go left. I knew this was absolutely gonna
Bro.
go left. Why are you
Yep.
apologizing for the floor being hell? And you have no context for what your innie is experiencing. When he called her the wrong name, did anybody else go immediately back to the Chinese shop when Helena called Gemma Hannah? I said, "Oh, okay, so
Yep.
the parallels are paralleling. Like
Yes.
I have to
The
be prepared
parallels are
now
parallel.
for Mark
And
Scout." Yeah.
I want to let my co-host speak because Jess, you bring up just a fantastic point. What the fuck was they doing in
What
that
were
birthing
they
cabin? What's going on,
doing?
guys? What are you doing? We had no plans,
Teach.
Devin,
Tell me what they were doing.
Mr.
Like
Bell,
what was going on?
but
Having Miss Kobelvig being the one that's like, okay, he won't
I
listen to
can't.
us. Let me talk to him. I was like, no, I could not think of a worse person to talk to him. Like, I think that you're actually the worst person in this situation to have a conversation with
And
him.
then
What
she
the
didn't
fuck are
have no
you gonna
bars.
tell him?
She didn't have no bars, Teach. Talking about the bars. She had no bars.
Well, she gave us some information about what Cold Harbor is, but she damn sure didn't say anything that would make me think, oh shit, like any Mark should have listened to
No.
her. Like any Mark don't trust her. And when he asked her, why are you the one telling me this? Which is an amazing fucking question. She didn't
Honor.
say,
Yep.
let me tell you how Lumen did me wrong and how I'm on your side now. She just said a bunch of nothing and then said like I care for you. Like no, you haven't. You've been a weird bitch the whole time. You kidnapped my nephew. Like everything you've done shows me both the innie and outie version of me that you can't be trusted. So I don't understand why you think I'm just gonna listen to you. Like you were the closer. You're gonna be the one to convince
No,
me to
it
go
was
with
But
the
wild. And
plan.
the fact that Devin
That
had
didn't
no
make any
response.
sense.
Devin just said, oh, okay, sure, you can talk to him alone. Now here's the funny part, Teach. Here's the part that spins me about what you just said. I actually believe Harmony. I actually think when you look back
see,
at
that's
their
why.
whole thing in season one, she was moving kind of weird with Mark S. I do think she cares for Mark S. Like, I don't think that was a lie. I just think
Now, see, we
that,
had this poll 2 episodes ago, Jess, and there was a very split decision on is Miss Cabell back in
well,
the
then
good
let me
grace with
break the
the
tie.
separate
Let me
people?
break the tie then, because I wasn't in that room. Listen, I think, I think
No, I
she,
think you were.
I think she, well, maybe I wasn't in the room at the time. Like, I missed that poll. But,
Yeah,
I do think that that line wasn't thrown in there for no reason, right? Like I think similar
I
to
feel you.
when they close the elevator doors and the doctor says you'll kill them all. Like there's all these subtle things and lines you got to watch with this freaking show that like are gonna they're gonna tell this story later. But I don't think
Let
she's
me let me
lying.
let let me let
Yeah.
let me let KP speak too. Yeah, thank you. I fully agree with. I'm so glad you brought it because I still want to talk about the camcorder scene and keep going. That's a good point because how are you the closer? Like, how are you the closer? But also, you know, if y'all were so gung ho for her after the Patricia Arquette episode, we know episode 7, I believe it was, or episode 8. Like, after that, if y'all was team, oh, she good, and Devin, Devin was right, and Ragabi was tripping, then why do we not trust her now? KP, talk to me.
I want to say I got beef with Jess on this because she tried to slide in that justice for Dylan. I want to say this. I think Mr. Milchick wrote that letter, and that wasn't Dylan's outie that wrote that letter. Because usually outie goes on camera and says, you know what? No, your ass is staying down there. It ain't all, I want you to stay, but you can leave. None of that.
KP, they
Nah.
showed Outie Dylan writing it.
No, they didn't show it. Did I miss it? I just seen him slide in the
They
letter and
did.
run out the
They
door.
did. Listen, I know my country and your country have beef right now, and I know you're always hating on me, bro. But you're wrong. You're wrong on this. Okay, KP,
No,
I love
Hold
you,
on.
I
K,
Now
think
but
I
you're
can we,
wrong.
Mil,
Can we
Milchick wasn't
address,
running.
allow
Milchick
me to
wasn't.
mediate?
Go,
Let
go
me
ahead.
address the Dylan in the room because there's a parallel here as well. The big Dylan in the room is,
Pause.
pause it. Um, did Outie Dylan, like, how do we feel about Outie Dylan is the first question we have to ask ourselves. We've seen at least 6 glimpses of Outie Dylan. He can't get no job at a door factory. He treats his wife terribly, blah, blah, blah. Then we get this situation in which his innie resigns. Now, TG, you can attest to this. I had the question. I was like, wait, if I remember correctly, I always go back to Helena. Helena is the nucleus of all of this. I always go back to Helly doing an any resignation to Helena. Helena was, I don't give a fuck. If you cut my arms off, I'll make you stay in there for the rest of your motherfucking life, bitch. You don't even fucking try me, right? So I remember all that. And I'm like, ooh, okay. But that was like an Egan saying that. So I'm like, what happens when a regular standard any resigns? I'm almost certain that they can appeal. And I love that. I feel like the writers knew people like me was going to ask that question because notice that Dylan still gave the Innie a choice. I don't know if y'all pay attention. Dylan specifically said, fuck you. You tried it. Stay back from my woman. This entire episode is just, you got me fucked up about my woman. Really, all straight men in this situation, and every straight man that watched that needs to take some fucking notes on how to be about your girl, period, and a discussion, okay? That's a whole nother what we watch, chat. That's
We gonna
part
pod
2.
on that again.
Y'all
You'll
need
save that pod for me and you later. I got you.
to be for your women a little bit more. It's the energy is giving really low here in 2025. Maybe y'all need to be severed. Okay, anyways. My point is, when Dylan says what he says, he honors. So apparently, your innie can appeal the appeal, right? Like there's always a resignation, appeal, termination, appeal kind of thing. And so when he said, "Oh, fuck you, stay away from my wife," and but I want you to think about this. I want you to know, but like whatever you decide, but fuck you, but whatever. Like I would rather you stay in there because, and then we get like that emotional, like, I mean, just the writing on here is incredible. So to me, while Jess, you and I were definitely 100% vindicated, in a way, I think we're still 100% vindicated, but in a way, the men got a little bit of something in there when he kind of like reconciled with the fact that, like, you're my innie, you're not necessarily, you're beneath me, right? The men got the vindication and like, you're beneath me, fuck you, like. So I get that, but like, Tej, how did you feel about that? Like, because that we had the conversation. Would you rather get cheated on by your innie, or with your innie, or with another person? And I think this entire episode kind of proved that, like, if your innie version is a version of you, right? Then, like, how much autonomy should you take away from them? How much autonomy should you take away from yourself? Tej, what do you think?
Well, I was on team. I'd rather be cheated on by the variant of me, the version of me. And
Oh,
when
were you?
yes, and when
For that.
he says to his innie,
I'm not.
like well, that's it's we record these chats, Monique, so it's
Yeah,
like
I'm gonna
in
go
the
look.
chats.
I feel like
I
you said you'd rather get cheated on with another man.
wait, sorry, I did say I'd rather get cheated on by another man,
Oh,
but
okay, yeah, we record
but
these
but
chats.
the any but the any when he told the any version of himself hey, like she wants me to be more like a self assured badass like you. Like
Yes.
he affirmed the any Dylan of saying, look, like I didn't like the fact that you were kissing on my wife, but it does make sense that we would be, attracted to the same person because we have the same body, and also you contain the parts of me that she likes the most and the parts of me that probably attracted her to me in the first place. And so you are a better version of me from that aspect, and affirming his any in that way was in its own way very romantic, even though obviously it
Agreed.
was the ending of another romantic, or at least what looks like the ending of another romantic relationship. That was very romantic in itself, but because of that, like I would still rather be cheated on by cheat normal with me. Go cheat on some rich nigga down the street, bro. It's too much. There's too much self work I have to do if you cheat on me with me, and then I gotta look into myself and figure out that's too much work. If you are dating the dude up the street with the bigger house than mine, at least I understand. I don't have to do a lot of emotional work to know why it happened. I might have to do some emotional work about it happening in the first place, but I don't want to have to do the emotional work on what do I not have that I used to have. Like I know I don't want to do that kind of emotional work. No, thank you.
It is so much easier, huh, to ask, you know what, Teach, you kind of just wrap this up in a nice bow for me. Still, fuck all of y'all that said the shit that y'all said in the last episode. But you know what? There is an easier question. What do I have in the past that you want from me now versus what does he have, right? When you get cheated on? These are, I think they're just as equally difficult questions if you phrase it like that. What did I have in the past? Because what did he say? He specifically said, thank you for bringing up the term romance. He specifically said, clearly you're a total badass in there, and I'm whack as fuck out here. And I feel like when I heard that, I was like, I wish Mark would say that to his innie. Mark needs a outie Dylan kind of negotiation help because again, as a negotiator and a persuader, like guys, where's the benefits for Mark S? Where's the benefits for Mark S? TJ, can you name one benefit? What was one benefit for Mark S to do what he was gonna do? Is there one?
Certain death, that was the benefit, I guess. That was, if you see that as a benefit.
I'm sorry. Are the benefits in the room with us? That would be me talking to me. I just want you to know. Me talking to me, we would be beefing to no end. It would be beef forever. I'd be like, I'm sorry, is the benefits in the room with us? Did you just say did you just make up another fucking word? I don't even know the names of the countries in which we live in, or the cities and states, and you gonna talk about reintegration? What are you talking about? Get off my fucking phone. Get off my camcorder right now. I'm gonna go and hang out. I'm gonna go talk to my man and see what my man want to do. If my man tell me to do it, I'm gonna figure it out. But I'm gonna stay with my man. I'm gonna stick beside him. Diner in the Dash, talk to me. Diner in the Dash, are the benefits in the room with us?
No, I don't think so.
Exactly. Keep going though.
I wanted Mr. Milchick's song to last longer, and I don't know what else you guys are going on with the chat right now.
That's okay. We were talking about Dylan, and I don't know if I think you were with me and Jess on the Dylan cheating on him with him, or the wife cheating on him with himself or without. Were you there for that? I think you were there for that.
Oh,
You'd rather
for
get cheated
sure.
on? Yeah, that's what
I
we were talking
love that actress, and I love her on Impossible,
Yeah.
and don't give up on her, but definitely give up on her on this show because fuck her.
Emotional support Kappa.
Yes.
Talk to me. You see your hand
Yeah.
up.
Yes. So I think with that appeal that Dylan or not Dylan, Mark was trying to make, it was a selfish one. And so that wasn't gonna work with his any, who definitely had something to lose. I think and it juxtaposing that with Dylan's appeal where he's
Action.
being understanding and he's like, oh yeah, we got some things in common. Like our
My
wife
wife a
thinks,
bad bitch. You see it too.
yeah, look, game recognized game. You know, and even thinking about that in relation to like TJ's point, doing the inner work. How are you gonna get some skin if you ain't right within? To quote Lauren Hill or
Mark
whoever.
did not. Mark's outing didn't get tapped in with negotiation tactics. He didn't read one book. He didn't get tapped in with Outie Dillon. He didn't take no courses, and he didn't listen to the miseducation of Lauryn Hill. These things are clear.
Like between him, his sister, and whatever that. Oh, I was about to insult that woman. They didn't have a game plan for
Not you about to
convincing
insult.
his any to get along with the game plan. Like at least make a moral argument about Lumen, but also I'm remembering none of these people actually are against Lumen as a concept.
Exactly.
It's everyone's about their self interest, aside from maybe the black woman. Believe black women. Happy Women's History Month. Um,
Ragabi,
yes, I think she's the only one
say her name.
who's Amen. Regavi. She might be the only one we've seen have real beef with the existence of that company, versus everyone else. It's all about a lot of it's self interest driven. Even Cobell, she's
Yeah.
upset she didn't get the credit. She don't actually have beef with them. Um,
Yes. And can we talk about it?
let's.
Can we pod about it real quick? Teaser, you should tap it. David, you had a little bit of a thread on this too, because you're hitting a very important point. That I kind of had like a little monologue at the end of our episode last week on kind of consciousness and the kind of layers that we live in, where it's like we call it conscious, subconscious, ego, but there's like these contextual realities that are created by our memories, and it's the narratives we tell each other. But if there's another like big glaring thing that emotional support kappa just brought up, and happy what we watched Sunday. Thank you for joining season 2 finale. Here we are. Let's get into it because capitalism. Yes, I think emotional support kappa said it perfectly. Y'all not really. Basically, what you're saying is y'all not really about that life, which is part of the reason why I hated Mr. Milchick. But we're gonna keep talking. You don't actually want Lumen to crumble. Because if you did, then Lumen would not be your employer. You would find another job. Now, maybe there's stuff revealed later about the job market, right? Because we've already seen a glimpse with Dylan. You want to work at a door factory and remember everything you did? And if you severed, there's clearly like, you kind of like a pariah in this society, right? They've dropped little things for us. It's been really, really brilliant. But how can you be against Lumen as a concept, capitalism as a concept? How does that actually look? If you continue to get money from them, do work for them, get benefits from them, and fraternize with them, quite frankly, outside of that, right? Like, in some cases, you have no idea, but Mr. Milchick was running up and down them people's houses all the time. Mark was the only one that was like, hey, like, with the scene in the forest, right? That Jeff or somebody so clearly called out, like the forest was not. Why did we wait till night? What's going on? We didn't come up with no game plan. But remember, Mark and Mr. Milchick was on the phone, and he was like, "I don't have to tell you a fucking thing about my fucking why I take a day off. You are not. Excuse me. Imagine your boss calling you right now, being like, "Hey, why are you not on right now doing what you need to do? Why are you not here today? Because I'm in a what we watch chat. But I don't have to tell you what I'm doing. You don't run my life. You're my boss in this workplace. And actually, I quite literally severed this for a reason. So why would you call me on my off day? It's PTO. I took a day off. Did I do anything in the handbook wrong? Okay, then I don't have to explain nothing to you. And I think that is really the case. Like, are you really against Lumen? And that's where I think Devin and Rickon's kind of relationship is going. I think that's where we're going in season 3. Are you really against Lumen, Teacher? What do you think about that? Like, is anyone really like? We've concocted, we've created quite a bit. Is anyone really against Lumen?
You
Who's
know
against
who's
Lumen?
who's not against Lumen? The brother-in-law. He disappeared this season,
Mm,
but last time we tapped in with him, he was writing a new version of his book that was pro Lumen and working with Lumen specifically. And I think that it's going to turn out in season 3 that he been the ops the whole time, and he is
and
the ops. And Devin, for someone who said that you have said specifically has never been wrong, I would agree with that. But she definitely was wrong in choosing her mate because Rickon is the ops, and I think that's going to be a big plot line in season 3. Rickon is Lumen, bro. Like
look,
I know we thought that Bert was the ops, and it looks like Bert is the ops, but he specifically was trying to save Irving, which I can appreciate, but I
Brilliant.
think that Rickon is the ops for sure, 100%.
The thing about it is, all of our greatest, most brilliant women, the downfall of them has been the man that they chose. Okay, so that tracks. All right, all of the best women we know choose the worst men. Okay, so that tracks. Here's my thing, though. If no one is really against Lumen, I think the person that like is yelling at me right now is Patricia Arquette's character, Miss Cavelvig, Miss Selvig, whatever you want to call her. Are you really against Lumen? You're not. You want to take over Lumen. You want to run whatever you want to run at Lumen. You want the freedom at Lumen, but you don't want Lumen to crumble. Rickon, here's what I'm going to say, and I'm going to just say it. I'm going to put it out there. I feel like Rickon and Mr. Drummond look alike. Am I tripping? That's all I'm going to
Rick and
say.
Egan.
All I'm going to say is Rickon and Mr. Drummond look alike, and so it's probably some... Okay, that's all I want to say. Big scales or emotional support gap. I didn't want to interrupt you. Please finish your thought, and then let's let Big Scales talk, because we potting, baby.
Oh, let me recollect myself. Rickon is a freaking loser, and
Rickon is a freaking.
that's probably Devin's biggest mistake in her life. And she clearly sees him as like a dork, but I don't know what it is with women and the things I see in men, but that's not my battle to fight. Yes. And so I was wondering that, like, how do you, like, making these appeals to the innies,
Yeah.
how do they then prioritize like the destruction of Lumen and figuring that out? I don't know what it will take for it to click with them, because everyone's making emotional no decisions.
Mm.
Like Kubel's feelings are hurt. Mark's trying to get his bitch back, and well, really, two of them.
His bitch is back,
Yeah, Devin is, I don't know, supporting her brother in his endeavor,
I guess.
but and I think Irving was probably the only selfless one. Now that I think about it,
My baby.
I still haven't figured out what's really driving Milchick with
They don't want me to know that, because yeah, yeah. I can
right,
tell you what's driving Milchick: money and clout.
to be a white man.
Correct.
Um,
White adjacent, capitalism power adjacent. He's just child. And I told y'all, I don't know. I can go back and listen to the recordings. We can all go back and watch it on YouTube and see what we said. But my thing about it is, I told y'all, there ain't no sympathy for Mr. Milchick. I'm not into it. My girl Helly just had to stand up in the middle of MDR, in the middle of a marching band like Drumline, and galvanize these people. Fuck Mr. Milchick.
yes, and
Love
really,
you, Janelle Tillman.
and it's really Helena Egan's mindset that I'm really in the dark about. Like, she pushing herself to near suicide, uh, while also experiencing what it's like to be uh, objectified by her father.
Exactly. And I think you bring up a great point. Like, I feel like I know like 60% of the character's real goals. The other 40% is mostly like all the outies and like a couple of other people. I'm like, well, what's your goal? Mark's outie for sure. His goal is the clearest, but I'm like, I have to question it, because you dumb as hell if you went about it this way. This is dumb as hell. You didn't think none of this through. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
Like,
not tactical.
that, there's no strategy here. I see why you got severed, because you don't make no kind of sense. If you really real about your goals, you're not acting like that.
Right. Like, if he would have been thoughtful enough about it, never going back to Lumen would have helped really throw a wrench in their plans, but he didn't peep that he was pivotal to their goals.
You see what I'm saying? Big
Yeah.
scales talk to me. Yeah, for sure. Big scales talk to me.
Yo, y'all, I'm not feeling the smoke from Mark Scout.
Oh,
Nah, I'm not feeling the smoke. Like, what is the deal? Like, my man he's actually the most sympathetic character on the show. Like, he's gone through so much. He turned to alcoholism because he was down bad. He thought his wife got killed. Ends up, she got kidnapped. Like, yo, what are we doing here? My man went through a severance procedure to cut pain off just to find out she's alive. You're messing with my brain now. Like I send my innie to work. He gets his paycheck. I sit home. I drink my drink. I chill. That's what I want to do with my life.
I get hit on by Helena.
You know what I'm saying? He's not bothering nobody. You got a lot of smoke for Mark. I don't feel it.
Here's my I won't get into it. I appreciate the defense of Mark. Not really. I
All
don't
right,
lie,
I got
but
another one for you. I'm
okay,
Team
keep going.
Milchick too.
Okay, so this is why. Okay, so we'll make sure that you're banned. Like I'm gonna
Listen.
make you feel like
Hear
you in
me
the
out.
chat, but you're
Hear
not
me
gonna.
out.
Oh Lord,
Let
another
me
coup.
cook. Let me cook. Being a
Okay,
brother in
let's see.
corporate America is rough. It's hard sometimes, especially when you're trying to
Okay,
climb the ladder. So my man's doing everything in his power, and he keeps catching L's that are out of his purview. Like he can't control the L's that are coming his way. It's not his fault. He's really just a floor manager that got.
how do you think? How do you think Mr. Milchick's ancestors feel about him?
Yo, honestly, like I said, I felt like earlier in the season, either Cobell or Milchick would come over to the light. And you know me, I'm Mr. Optimistic. I think they're both going to come to the light. Like you said, why is nobody against Lumen? This is the genesis of it all. This could be a 4 to 5 season show, just trying
Oh, it is.
to take down
Hopefully.
this behemoth of a company. Like try to take down Amazon. Let's see you find some dirt on Bezos, like they doing some crazy shit. You're not going to
I
take
like
down
this parallel.
Amazon just with 3 people. We got to get a whole conglomerate. We got to.
Who,
It's got to be a mutiny.
who's galvanizing these people? Who's doing the
What's
work?
up?
Who?
What?
Who's doing the work to get this
Well,
going?
like I said, it's getting snowballed with. I still think, like you said, Cobell, she might have her own interests, maybe, but the fact that she was living next door to Mark, keeping an eye on him over her procedure that she created, like she may have had more. She may have cared more than we thought. She may have been trying to keep a close eye on her guinea pig severance patient for this grand procedure, this the 25th file, the Cold Harbor, but like, and then she got
Okay.
kicked to the side. So it's like, I don't
Okay.
know. I feel like a lot of the
The
people that
only
we're
thing I
supposed
can
to hate
relate
are going to
to
turn back around.
Mark's scout on, I guess, is that yes, I am fully aware of how terrible Amazon is, and I did have a delivery package yesterday. So I understand. That's the only I understand. I'm a victim, and all of this is manufactured, and there's not a lot of choices I have left because the stuff that I have convinced myself that I need from being on my phone so much, Amazon can get it in at cheaper for me, which is good for me, and quicker rates, which is also good for me because I make decisions at a very high level energy. So yeah, I guess
But
I would be
say
called
but
out quick if anybody was like, "We're taking down Amazon." I'd be like, "Oh,
exactly, yeah,
what's the
you're not
alternative?
taking down the behemoth like that.
What's the alternative? What's the alternative?" And we did make the Amazon comparison with Miss Cabelvig's episode. KP, talk to me and then teach.
Yeah, I don't think nobody wants to take down Lumen. Just like when people keep talking about it, it's just like leaving New York. Nobody want to leave here. It's a convenience of. It's expensive to live here because it's convenient,
It's dirty.
and
Oh, sorry, my bad.
no, don't. It's expensive and it's dirty where Lumen is at too.
And
You
it
see all that
stank. Oh,
goddamn snow. You see all that cold, them cold blue colors and grays. That means it's dirty over there too. Lumen don't clean up nothing. So nobody wants to take down Lumen. They need a check over there. Just like when Walmart come into a town, they build it up and everything revolves around Walmart. And you never know. Also, what
flakes.
do they know? What do they know about Lumen? They don't know about all of the levels of Lumen and all of the ideologies and all of the terminologies and all of the religious innuendos and all that other good stuff. They don't know about that. They just know I get a check, just like life. Nobody wants to take that next step and tear it all down.
And it takes
However,
a group.
and I'm gonna end on this: justice for Dylan, outie Dylan,
No,
justice for
no,
Mark Scout,
no.
justice for the guy that don't cheat. That's what I would say. Justice for the
Where
non-cheaters.
is Is the guy that doesn't cheat in the room with us now?
No, no, he's not.
Yes,
Okay,
right
thank you,
here.
guys.
I'm raising my hand right here.
Is
Me.
there a man
I.
that doesn't cheat in the room? Because he damn sure not on Severance. What is going on here, guys? What is actually happening here, guys? Tej, talk to me, and then I want your boy Chris to speak. Tej, what you got, co-host?
So I wanted to talk about the kind of the one of the last shots of the episode, which was after Mark chooses Helly and walks away from where Gemma is outside the door. There's a look that Helly gives that gives Gemma. Now, some people have said that maybe this is actually Helena who he chose here, not Helly,
Nah.
and that's why she's giving her the look, which maybe some people may have seen as like a look of like, I got your man, like I win, you lose. But I don't think that. I do think there's just something in the look, but I don't think it's that. I think that it's probably more likely that it is Helly giving her a look of "I'm so sorry that you." Because if you look at it from Gemma's standpoint, she was just with her husband. Her husband was saving her. It was very romantic, and then her husband just stopped at the door and was like, "Nah, I'm choosing this other woman." Like, sorry, and that's obviously not what happened. But Gemma doesn't know that Mark is severed. Like, she doesn't have any awareness of that because like she wasn't around for that part of Mark's life because obviously he got severed after she quote unquote died. So I think that Helly was more giving her a look of like, hey, like I'm sorry it has to be this way. Like I know that you must feel a way about this, and not that it was somehow Helena who Mark chose, and now Helena is down on the severed floor again. I don't think they would do that again.
I'm so glad you've joined me, Teach, because I was mad when you first started talking about it. I was like, don't start this. Don't you dare start this. This is the way. Thank you for joining us on this side. Your boy Chris, talk to me.
I mean, I think we're missing the main person who's gonna go against Lumen, and that's got to be Helly R. Like again, I feel like
She is the nucleus.
she's
I keep telling you that.
she's really out there galvanizing and getting people on her side. And I think if anyone's liable to burn Lumen down, it's going to be her. I mean, she said as much in the episode. I think I forget what that line was. It's one of my favorite in the episode when she steps to Homeboy and goes, "Hey, you made hell, and you're going to burn in it." And I really think that end of the day, even though she has to be there, I think she's also the kind of person that would willingly um, go after an Illumin in a way that nobody else can because they have so much. The only thing really holding her there is Mark S. And I feel like once this kind of the ending leaves us feeling like he made a very sure decision, but I'm not sure that that's going to be the case. I think once we get into the next season and we start getting into the minutia of why they did what they did, I think another big question is because if they're so about you know any innies being innies and responsibility and all that, like my big thing is like they kind of just skipped over Miss Casey as a person entirely, and I think that's kind of rich coming from Mark being the person in that room in the first season to say, "Hey, we're innings and
Let's
we."
talk about it.
I think so because he's saying, "Hey, He has a whole conversation with her before she leaves and says, "Hey, we have a responsibility and a right to be here too." And in no point of this journey to get Gemma out are we saying, "Hey, never, not even the other personalities, but at least Miss Casey, this person you should have some kind of like, at least cordial relationship with, that this is a whole person that is never going to come back again." So a lot of those questions are to come into the next season of saying, where do these
This,
innies really stand when it comes to, do we really care about, us as a group, or is it a lot of personal motivation? Um,
yeah, I think, I think you bring up a great point that you know, the show almost really as steadfast and as devout as we are, as a devout, I think the word is, as steadfast as we are in a lot of our beliefs, the show almost forces you to find a contradiction in anything that you truly quote unquote believe should happen.
I agree.
It's like everything is a contradiction. Like, okay, well, if you want this, well, you said over there that you wanted this, and you want this for this character, you want this for this character. All these things cannot happen together, which is like, hello, this is life, right? You find yourself being very contradictory in life. This is why people call people hypocrites and all kinds of stuff. Because it's like, wait, you want this, but you're doing this, and you want this for this person, but you don't want it for this person. How?
I think it goes back to
You-
the coalition building they're gonna have to do. Is we're talking about capitalism in terms of Lumen being this overarching thing, and the big thing about you look at any movement that goes against these things is that what they really had to do was find out a way to separate their differing reasons and the reasons why they want this to be done, and coalition build and reach across each other's aisles and say, hey, what do we have all in common that we can use to take down? And right now there's a lot of different people with a lot of different motivations. You know, you have your Miss Cobells and you have your Helenas. You have all these different people
Mm-hmm.
on the spectrum. The question is, are they going to be able to actually work together despite
Mm.
their whatever? And I think that that is the real question about it. Can we take Lumen down? Is there a reality where the Lumen as we know it now doesn't exist? Is that even possible for these characters to imagine?
If you want to take Lumen down, right? Because if you take Lumen down, there's no more of your favorite characters from your perspective. There's a couple things, right? If Helly, right, I'm gonna take you through the contradictory flowchart, right? If Helly is the answer, then that is literally working from the inside to dismantle a system. But if you don't think that's possible, then how could you think that Helly would be the answer? So, and if you want to take Helly down, or if you want to take Lumen down, then you want Helly to die, because that's what would happen, unless everyone got reintegrated. But we have no answer about what reintegration is. So that was like an introduction to a concept that Mark S's character, Mark's Innie, has accurately challenged. What does that actually look like? If you recall, TJ and I had this long conversation last time, right? We shared it a couple episodes ago. Well, TJ, what'd you say? Like, I don't understand reintegration, right? Like you and Mark S, you and Mark's Innie are on the same page. What does that even look like? You can't even tell me what it looks like. No one knows what it looks like because it's not binary. It's not 1 or 0. We just press a button and we're reintegrated and we unreintegrate and we integrate and we separate and we over time we change glass skull block. Like these things are not very clear. They're very murky. They're very muddy. And so, okay, you want Helly and Mark to end up together? Well, you are devastating literally every other character. So are you saying you fuck every other character? You want Mark and Gemma to end up together? Okay, so Lumen will continue, and maybe like Lumen suffers some sort of kind of press, whatever. Again, the core four caused quite a bit of a fucking ruckus. The fucking owner's daughter spoke in front of a convention and talked shit about the company. There was already enough press that could have taken Lumen down first season, and it didn't. So like it's going, it's giving you need more people. So everything you kind of want for one character is contradicting in the same concept is contradictory conceptually for another character. And it's like you got to really think about what this means, because like everybody gonna eat or die or suffer in a different way. So for the last 10-15 minutes, I want everybody to get their bars off, because I definitely still want to talk about the cinematography. But thank you for joining the Severance season 2 finale. I have a few hands up. I'm going to be very particular about your time. You got about 60 to 90 seconds to get your point off. Tej, help me out to hold everybody accountable. Can you do that, boss?
Yes.
Thank you so much. All right, we're gonna start with David. Talk to me.
I'm like, wait, here's the thing. To me, ultimately, when we have to start talking about these things, we, again, as I talked about with Game of Thrones, we have to go back to comfort. Because that's the real thing on the core of all of this shit is that ultimately, what do we feel about being nice? And when you have to cut something off to get to something that will be greater, that's the thing that has been holding us back for generations. Is that at the end of the day, most people are going to go, well, I if I can get this kind of little bit of thing, if I can get macaroni and cheese, yeah, get rid of the chicken, but I want that. And if you're not willing to go, you know what? At the end of the day, you're going to have to let go of macaroni and cheese too. Then people are going to go, yeah, nah, I can't go with this revolution that you're having. That's what revolution is. It is burn everything that you know. Let me say it again. Everything that you know, it has to be let go of. That's very hard for people to do. The other part is, well, let me keep this piece that I like about this shit, which is, hey, the part that benefits me, I want to keep that. And that's what this show is doing a great job of doing. That doesn't mean that it's right. It means that it's supposed to be what
It's
it's
human.
supposed to be. Exactly. It is human in depicting that our humanities are going to say, this is what we need. Don't misalign those things and start going, well, yeah, they're right for doing those. And no, they're right for depicting that those things are on Walking Dead, which I'm in the middle of a revisit. Amazing job of also showing it's very hard to let go of what everything we understood as humanity. But a lot of people got their faces eaten, got their intros pulled out because motherfuckers would not let go of what the old world used to do. And if you buy into that, you are saying, I too would say, hey, you know what, old boy from right now, he's in Oh my gosh, I hate I'm spending time on this. Fucking guy from
What
the
show?
TV show, the school show, Elementary, Abbott Elementary.
Abbott Elementary. Tyler
The
James Williams?
Tyler James Williams, yes, exactly. Tyler
Okay.
James Williams. When he was on that show, when he
Whatever.
died so horribly in that window because that white dude made a decision for his own fucking safety. I don't see how you can explain to me, and I would love somebody to explain how that is different from what we're seeing. The same thing I said about Rain Casimir. All those things are the same. They're interlined. Is someone saying, my life is more important than yours? And if you dare get in the way of what I'm trying to do, I
Yep.
will burn your entire shit down. So that's all I'm saying is that not that it isn't right to say, hey, fight for what you want. I believe that's all of our directives. Terminator, all that shit, all of our directives. But is the Terminator right? Or is he kind of a fucking Terminator? That's all I'm saying.
Agreed. Agreed. I don't know if Tej is counting the time, but thank you, David. You made me remember another parallel of Invincible. Uh, is you can't be the good guy and save the world. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. And I love this theme. I love this theme around, especially the political climate that we're in America and how it's affecting our global, recognition, relationships, and things like that. It's like you cannot be the good guy and save the world. Decisions will have to be made. You can't be the good guy and take down Lumen. There's just an inherent contradiction in the things that we do, and so we have to come back down to choice, right? Like, these characters have a choice, and if you really sit down and you watch the episode, the choices that are being made, you're right, David, it's not about right or wrong. It's, hey, self-interest. I think somebody tweeted me that it's self-interest. Is what works for you. Jess, go ahead. Teach, please. 90 seconds.
Yeah, so I just want to actually tie up all the points that are being discussed. Chris's point about this being about Helly, and the points about comfort and sacrifice and hypocrisy. Because again, like I said earlier, these one-liners, these moments, I hang on to them, and I don't think it's a small thing for Jane to, like, creepily pull up on her alone on the floor and say, "I actually saw Kier in you." um because when we think about our girl right now, what's happening right now, she's running around the floor hand in hand with Mark, red lights flashing, like they're clearly in dire straits. And if the gas go block works one way, don't be surprised if it works another. And so I don't know, Chris, if Heliar is going to be the salvation of her people, and take down Lumen, because I can see a world where, in order for there to be some sort of negotiation around her survival and opportunity to even still get to know Mark, to exist in the same place as Mark, Jane might pull it to the side and say, these are the terms. This is what it is. This is what it's gonna be. Like, if Lumen finds himself against, like, a rock and a hard place with all the chaos, I can see a world where Helly, the one that we would never think, gets this interesting opportunity to take a heel turn that none of us saw coming. Because I also find it interesting that that final scene, to me, is proof that it's possible. Because for her to show up, heels off, disrupting, like, what she understood as a possibility of destroying Lumen, just for the sake of 30 seconds running around with Mark, around this floor. That says to me that she has a price. That says to me she has a price, and that she's not willing to
Everything
sacrifice
has a
what she
price.
wants to burn the whole thing down. So I can see
Thank you,
season
Jess.
3 being the beginning of a real test for this character that we love. And
Thank
I'll
you.
land right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, who was next? I don't know who had their hand up next. Diner in the Dash, or who was next? Teach. Was it Diner in the Dash?
I don't know who was next. I didn't keep track of who raised their hand at what time.
Diner in the Dash. Go ahead.
So my grand theory was, since the way they made the closing scene as an oil painting of whatever the fuck Mark and Helly were running from, did it really happen or did it not happen? And
Wait.
that's what Lumen has to prove for us
Wait.
in the next season.
Wait, Tej, are you hearing this? Wait, I don't. Wait, are you saying that he didn't run away with Helly? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So when did the simulation stop for you in this moment? If it's not real, then where
Well,
did
I don't know because it was fake Mark and real Mark and any Mark and outie Mark and I don't fucking know.
there's too many switches
I'm
for you?
not a smart enough dude to figure it out. But
But
they
but you
ended
still
it with the
stand on
oil
second. You
painting
were like,
and they had the earlier oil painting with Mark like typing out finishing Cold Harbor with everyone watching him and all this shit.
okay, okay. Somebody said
So
earlier something about like they didn't really explain Cold Harbor, and I wonder. But it's a perfect segue into our last portion of this episode chat. So I'm into it. Emotional support
so
capital.
now like does not like yeah.
I
Did
feel
that
you.
actually happen or did it not happen?
Okay, I'm sure we'll get the confirmation either way. So I feel you. Emotional support kappa.
All right, yeah. So Helly would have made the decision, the selfless decision, to leave Lumen instead of, unlike Mark. Like Mark chose love. Helly,
Mm-hmm.
I think, being the rebel and the one who actually has like genuine grievances with the company's existence, uh,
Mm-hmm.
would have given up on love. But my bigger point is Helena is the linchpin, not Helly. So, as someone who's on the outside, she has adoration, the money, the feelings of importance, and wants for nothing materially. But she's witnessing that she can still be treated like a means to an end.
Mm-hmm.
And so, someone kind of was talking about coalitions and things like that, and Helena being the person with the power and the privilege who's willing to give it up. Or I think that's what we're going to see. Because if you realize we haven't actually gotten much of her at all this season, um, as opposed to like season one.
Yeah, I feel you. Big skulls. Thank you for keeping that. I know you're good at that.
Yeah, no doubt. I think yeah, so we got a lot more questions now, but I think yeah, you guys are right. Helena, Helly, that's going to be the key to it all. I think season two, wait, three rather. I'm sorry. I think season three is going to go a lot deeper into her story. Maybe her outie, Helena's kind of thoughts and how her relationship with her father.
Right.
But yeah, I think a lot of more is going to be placed on the outies next season. I think it's
Mm.
going to be more
No,
outie based.
Tej. No more any stuff for Tej.
But then I think about it like this: like, can Lumen kidnap you and not let you go home? So it's like all any. Can like they like stop Mark from leaving like right now in this situation? Because it's
I
like
present parallel number
This
8.
is all part of my theory.
I present.
Only Helly watched
if they
complete Cold
if
Harbor.
if, if, if they
Only
kid if they kidnap Gemma, why can they not now lock down the place and kidnap Mark? You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's what the gem episode was a test for.
Jurassic Park has a line that Jeff Goldblum delivers, and I think the can and would and should is of it all is important. Big scales. I don't think the question is can. They absolutely can.
Yeah.
It's
So
just a
now
matter of will they.
is
I'm pretty sure
now
they
is it
will.
now Gemma has to get Mark
There you go.
out? Did it all flip now for next season? Like it's I think it's going to be deep.
And I want to take all of that and kind of talk about just from an art perspective because this is what we watch. Thank you guys. We're wrapping up here. Thank you so much for joining. But let's be here with the art as well. I did not create this just to talk about how we feel. A lot of the reasons why we feel the way we feel about things is how it's presented and the art behind it and the artist behind it. So thank you so much, Ben Stiller, Dan, Adam Scott, Patricia Arquette, Britt Lauer, Dylan's character. I should probably learn his name by now.
Zach
We love
Cherry.
Dylan. Zach, Zach Cherry. Yes. Mr. Cherry, you are the reason that every season 2 or every Severance finale is a Super Bowl for me now because As soon as you get to cook, I yelled at the screen. As soon as Dylan was running down that hall, I was like, "Go, Dylan! Go help Helly! Oh my god!" And I was like, and then I like stopped myself. I was like, "Oh, we're doing this again. They got me doing this again. They got me like, go help my girl, man. We got to do this. We got to save Gemma." And one of the most powerful like bits of storytelling in this show to me is how they use color. There is a common misconception, and you're welcome as I share this here on What We Watch, March 23rd. There's a common misconception in filming that the way that we make colors pop and the way that we make colors make us feel a thing, right? And shades, complementary kind of ideas like color theory all around it, right? What it makes us feel psychologically, where it takes us in the scene and the mood. There's a common misconception that to make a thing colorful is putting a lot of colors in it. And that's just not the best way to go about it, depending on how you want to tell your story. If you want the color red to pop, then you need to have other muted colors, other complementary colors, other different kind of colors around it. And you don't put too many colors into it. And so what Severance has done is use like this extremely specific palette. If you go back, we got about 3 to 7 colors and shade ranges maximum in 20 hours of television. There's not a lot going on. And what it purposely does is it immerses you in what is actually happening to every single character, and it keeps you in this very specific range of emotions until they want to take you out. In the specific range of emotions that like what's going on here is a little bit unsettling, a little bit concerning. You're going to get any variation of black, blue, white, gray, green, red, and it's going to be some shade of that. It's going to be a muted shade. It's going to be a pastel shade. It's going to be a certain like color blocking with 2 or 3 of them colors. And I bring you to Mark Scout's version before he's talking to his outie. Do you remember when we looked out? It was almost like a damn video game horror movie kind of thriller sci-fi feeling to me. I don't know if y'all caught that. Like when they zoomed out, we kind of got like what looked like a drone shot if we were there with Mark Scout's character at the cabin, like just looking out, and it was like a water and a body of water and mountain and the moon like kind of shining on it. And there was this cabin and some lights in the cabin, and it was about 3.5 colors in it. And it was so like harrowing and concerning, and like it felt like a video game, and it was like the simulation. It did not feel real. Like, why is this guy like in this situation, like crossing a boundary and talking to different versions of himself? Like, that's crazy. And so this show purposely, like when Helly pulls up, she got her red hair, she got a some sort of blue green on, and some black shoes or some white shoes, and that's about it. The painting itself, how many colors were in the painting that you saw that showed in the finale? It was about 3 colors. It was like blue, gray, black, and white. Black and white are technically not colors. That's it. There's not a lot going. So Teach, talk to me a little bit about the cinematography, because there's a lot of use of color and the way like, we went into like that weird kind of like Diary in the Dash is concerned. It's like, is it real? Like that film kind of ending. What do you think about that?
I think all season the cinematography has been pretty phenomenal. I really liked how they kind of like we've seen these same hallways now for 2 seasons now, but when the alarms start going off after Helly starts causing a ruckus and you have the band in there, you like turn it all right and turn it all red and like have the alarms going and turn it all red. Like I just thought that their grasp of color and their grasp of what they were doing with cinematography
And lighting, you're
tracked
right. Lighting is
tracked
good.
all season long, and I thought it was a great looking episode. And we didn't even talk about how amazing it looked when they went downstairs and Drummond died, and the way that they had to do that kind of thing where he had to die, and the way that they shoot the elevator and then the elevator's closing on him. I just thought that it was a mastery behind the camera the whole season, and the finale was was another example.
For the choreography and merriment, we didn't talk about that. I'm obsessed with that. Notice the colors of the band too. What? White, blue, silver, black? What were the colors of the band? It wasn't a lot going on, but it was choreography and merriment, right? Like, and I love that you brought up the scene with the elevator and the stuff hanging out. Again, very sci-fi, very thriller, very horror. but so much comedy, right? Like that's something that happens in comedy, right? Like that's when I know, like there's moments where I'm like, Ben Stiller's definitely a part of this project, you know? Like I just have those moments. I'm like, the elevator shutting, like that's slapstick comedy, but in like this really dramatic, I'm trying to save the love of my life. And that's just so brilliant. Then you get Gwendolyn, who like I think she has to beat up a man every time we see her. I was like, I'm not I'm not mad at myself, and no one can check me for calling her Brienne of Tarth, because that is Brienne of Tarth in there. Beating men up. Yeah, that's right, I'm gonna beat your ass. Like that was so much fun. And again, we got white, we got black, we got blue, and then we got the blood, which was the red. That was it. That was all we could see. Goats, white, gray. I don't even think we saw the tongue a little bit. It was pink, a shade of red. Like, it's so cool the way that this is filmed. You know, see episode 7 or 8, a lot of the one around, specifically around Gemma and Mark Scout's like life, that was filmed in a different way. It was cut in a different way. So it was really, really fun to see all of that. And I just hope that we like stay attached to kind of the artistic, kind of stylistic side of this relationship that we have with this show, because it's so great. Thank you so much for joining us. This is What We Watch. Happy What We Watch Sunday. Let me know. We're taking polls on the next films and TV shows that you want to talk about, because we've covered Invincible, we've covered Paradise, we've covered Severance. I mean, we've covered everything this year already. And now we're on the White Lotus. So if y'all want to talk about White Lotus, we can do that. But any shows that you're watching, please let me know.
Wheel of Time.
Wheel of Time?
Yes.
Okay, that's a vote. So we'll get some votes in. Everybody pick their vote, bring their votes in, give me the streaming service or whatever, and talk to me. But thank you so much for joining us. Happy What We Watch Sunday. Ciao.